having crossed the formidable Hindu Kush mountains, Alexander the Great descended into Bactria in the spring of 329 BCE, resuming his relentless pursuit of the usurper Bessus. His next major natural obstacle was the mighty Oxus River, Amu Darya, a vast waterway separating Bactria from the even more remote and challenging region of Sogdia. The crossing of the Oxus would be another testament to Macedonian ingenuity and endurance, leading them deeper into the heart of Central Asia. After the brutal ordeal of crossing the Hindu Kush mountains, in the depths of winter and founding Alexandria Caucasus on its northern slopes, Alexander the Great and his weary army were poised to invade Bactria, the satrapy of the regicide Bessus, who had proclaimed himself Artaxerxes V. In the spring of 329 BCE, Alexander led his forces down into the Bactrian plains. Bessus, however, did not wait to confront him. Lacking the confidence to face Alexander's veterans in open battle, he adopted a scorched earth policy, devastating the Bactrian countryside to deny supplies to the advancing Macedonians. He then retreated northwards, across the formidable Oxus River, into the neighboring satrapy of Sogdia, hoping the river and the support of Sogdian and Scythian tribes would provide a more secure refuge. Alexander pressed on through Bactria, eventually reaching its capital, Bactra, also known as Zeriaspa, modern Balk. He found the city largely abandoned by Bessus's forces and the countryside ravaged. Securing Bactra as a base, Alexander paused briefly to rest his troops, reorganize, and gather supplies. He appointed Artabazus, the elderly and loyal Persian noble who had refused to join Bessus's conspiracy against Darius, as the new satrap of Bactria, a move designed to win the support of loyalist Persians and ensure stable administration. The next challenge was the Oxus River, one of the great rivers of Central Asia, known today as the Amu Darya. It was a wide, deep, and fast-flowing river, with a current so strong it made swimming across difficult and dangerous. Moreover, the surrounding region was largely devoid of timber suitable for building bridges or boats. Bessus, having crossed it with his forces, had reportedly burned all available boats to hinder Alexander's pursuit. The Macedonians, arriving on its southern bank, were faced with a significant logistical and engineering problem. Alexander, however, was undeterred. After searching in vain for suitable boat-building materials or affordable point, he resorted to an ingenious and laborious solution, one that his army had used before in similar situations but never on such a scale. He ordered his soldiers to construct rafts from the leather tents they used for shelter. These tent skins were sewn together and stuffed with dry grass, reeds, or any light, buoyant material available, then tightly sealed to make them waterproof. These improvised floats, though unwieldy, were capable of supporting men and equipment. The crossing of the Oxus took 5 or 6 days of relentless effort. Thousands of these makeshift rafts had to be constructed and then paddled or guided across the turbulent waters. The soldiers, many of whom were not natural sailors, struggled against the strong current. Horses had to swim across, often with difficulty. It was a testament to the discipline, resourcefulness, and sheer determination of the Macedonian army and their king that such a large force, with its baggage and equipment, could successfully cross such a formidable river under such challenging circumstances. Once safely across the Oxus, Alexander found himself in Sogdia, corresponding to parts of modern Uzbekistan, and Tajikistan, a land even more remote and less known to the Greeks than Bactria. This was a region of arid plains, fertile oases, centered around rivers like the Polytimetus, Xerovshan, and rugged mountains. The Sogdians, like the Bactrians, were an Iranian people known for their fierce independence and skilled horsemanship. Bessus had hoped that Sogdia, with the Oxus at his back, would provide a secure base. He sought to rally the local Sogdian nobles and the nomadic Scythian tribes from beyond the Oxus River, Amu Darya, to his cause. However, his authority, already tainted by regicide, was crumbling fast. Many of his Bactrian followers had deserted him during the retreat or after crossing the Oxus. His remaining support in Sogdia was also proving unreliable. The Sogdian chieftains, such as Spitamenes and Datafernes, were wary of Alexander's relentless advance, and perhaps saw little future in supporting a failing usurper like Bessus. As Alexander marched deeper into Sogdia, pressing his pursuit, Spitamenes and Datafernes, along with other Sogdian nobles, formed their own conspiracy against Bessus. They likely realized that Bessus was doomed, and that by handing him over to Alexander, they might secure favorable treatment for themselves and their region. They seized Bessus, stripped him of his royal insignia, and sent messengers to Alexander, informing him that they had the usurper in their custody and awaited Alexander's instructions. Alexander dispatched Ptolemy, son of Lagas, his close companion and future king of Egypt, with a detachment of troops to take charge of the prisoner. Ptolemy found Bessus, either abandoned by his captors in a small village or handed over directly. Bessus was brought before Alexander, naked and in chains, with a wooden yoke around his neck. Alexander's confrontation with Bessus was charged with drama. He reportedly berated Bessus for his treachery and murder of Darius, his kinsman and king. He questioned Bessus's audacity in usurping the royal title and continuing a futile resistance. Bessus's response, if any, is not recorded in detail. Alexander then ordered Bessus to be publicly scourged. His subsequent fate would be a grim one, reserved for later, after Alexander had dealt with further challenges in Sogdia. The crossing of the Oxus and the subsequent capture of Bessus were significant milestones. Alexander had penetrated deeper into Central Asia than any previous Greek or Macedonian commander. He had overcome formidable natural barriers and demonstrated the reach of his power. The usurper who had dared to claim the Persian throne was now his prisoner. However, the subjugation of Sogdia and the neighboring Scythian territories would prove to be one of the longest, bloodiest, and most challenging campaigns of Alexander's entire career. Far from over with the capture of Bessus, the fierce warriors of Central Asia, led by new, more capable leaders like Spitamenes, were about to give Alexander a harsh lesson in guerrilla warfare.